After 10 years of full-time entrepreneurship, having time freedom, doing what I love to do, spending time with my family, I went back and got a full-time job. Now, everybody, if this is your first time here, my name is Troy Woods. I am the founder of 300 Fathers, where we discuss topics of high performance fatherhood. Now, 10 years ago, ironically, I made a video on YouTube discussing how I was quitting my 9-to-5 job, and I thought it was only right that I come back and do this video because I believe that there may be some people that may be in the same space or in the same position that I was in. So let me just kind of give you a brief rewind of everything that took place. In 2014, I left my full-time job in IT and went to pursue my business in photography and media. At the time that I did it, business was booming, everything was great. And I was like, you know what, my kids are very young. This is probably the best time for me to strike out and do this now. So I left my job, I left the comforts of a full-time job, benefits and everything, and went and explored the entrepreneurship realm. Having 2 kids, having a wife. Now, full disclosure, my wife, of course, was working, and I was able to get on her benefits. Just a little backstory. So as this journey went on for 10 years, there were a lot of highs and there were a lot of lows. And a lot of the lows that I faced were not public facing woes. These were things that I was kind of dealing with internally with myself, with my home. And, you know, the one thing that I learned about the entrepreneur journey, especially when you are in a service-based business and you have something that people want, you got to have a lot of patience and you got to be able to ride the highs and the lows. And that's exactly what was going on. I would, you know, anybody that's been in business can probably tell you, you'll have seasons where the money just doesn't seem to be coming in where you want it to come in at. And then all of a sudden you'll hit like peaks where it's just coming in, it's just coming in, right? Thousands and thousands of dollars are kind of coming in seemingly within a 1 or 2 week period. And you're like, okay, I'm on to something. And then you kind of hit another point. And the challenge with all of this is tying everything together so that you can minimize those low points in business. And honestly, that's where I think things with me kind of maybe went a little sideways. I've always been pretty good, I would say, at what I was doing as far as my craft. But when you venture out into entrepreneurship, and this is what I was telling people along the way that was asking me about my journey. When you venture out into full-time entrepreneurship, you can't just be good at what you're good at, right? The thing that made you want to be an entrepreneur. You have to be really good at other areas as well, or hire for those areas. And of course, to hire for those areas, you have to be bringing in the money to hire for those areas. But you got to be really good at marketing and advertising and really good at sales and all the other stuff. So trying to keep this video as short as possible. We went through, you know, everything was great. My wife was extremely patient. And I was able to do some amazing work over this 10-year period. But my children, of course, are getting older and their needs are changing and their financial requirements for those needs are changing. And of course, you have bills that are just ever present. They're not changing. And so you get to the point that I felt so much stress on my life and just managing this. And then I began to tell myself that, okay, you've been out of a 9-to-5 for 8-9 years at that point. You know, the industry has moved on. The IT industry has moved on without you. And, you know, it's going to be really hard to get back in that space. You don't have your security clearance anymore. All these things that I was telling. And I started looking at, okay, how could I jump back in? What will be a good entry point? I know I'm going to have to start at the bottom again, but I really don't want to be at a place where I have to start lower than the money that I'm bringing in now, even in business, right? And so I'm weighing all of these things back and forth. And so my wife and I are starting to have conversations. And look, guys, it's been 10 years. I could just kind of tell, like, she's looking at me like, okay, our responsibilities are increasing. What are you going to do? And so I had, you know, some years back, I started looking. Nothing really was panning out. And then I was in a situation where I was doing part-time work, making really good money in AV in DC. And so I started, a friend of mine came to me and he said, hey, look, why don't you talk to this person in the environment that you're already in and see if they have anything. I'm like, you know what, that's a good idea. And that's exactly what happened. And I had a conversation with somebody. They told me about an opportunity that was just actually created. It wasn't even available really before this time. And no one had been in this position before. And they were in a hiring position and they wanted to consider me for the job. So kind of fast forward to about almost 30 days ago now, I started working again, and I'm back in IT, and it's an amazing testimony for me because I'm not going to say it was easy to do this, but this kind of goes back to a couple things I wanted to discuss in this video. I'm not going to say it was easy at all, but this process definitely showed me the power of relationships, right? And even in business, I would tell people, you know, you get to a point where your skill can take you so far, and to get into that next realm, it's really going to be dependent on the relationships that you have nurtured over the years and people willing to put you in trusted spaces. And, you know, you might have two people with a similar skill set, but maybe one is trusted more to work in this high profile environment, let's say, or whatever. And those relationships are what's going to carry you there. I believe it was the same thing here. You know, relationship really put me in a position to ask certain questions, and everything worked out. Now, let's kind of talk about how I felt in this process. It was tough, guys. You know, being a man, especially at my age, about to hit the big 50 and living a certain way in front of my children, having time freedom, all this other stuff, I really had to think about this process and have conversations with myself that, quite honestly, I really didn't even want to have with my wife, not because I was ashamed, but because I knew what I had to do. I had to go get a job. So I didn't want this to be looked at as an excuse, because the type of person that she is, she still would have had empathy for me saying these things. Even though I needed to, you know, to get this job, I didn't want to put that on her and her to feel a certain type of way. So I didn't struggle with it, but it was a challenge. I didn't just say, hey, I got a job, I'm going back. I had to have almost conversations with myself daily, reminding myself the importance of what it is that I'm doing and looking at the benefits to what was going to come from this, right? The benefits of having a consistent paycheck. Looking at the opportunity that was in front of me, where I went back into the workforce salary-wise, not too far removed from where I left. And so that was, and actually coming in higher than what I had been looking for a couple years ago. So that was a blessing there. One of the other things that was really important to me that I didn't consider at the time when I was going through this whole process was my son. I have a son and a daughter. My son at the time of this video was 15, my daughter's 12. And I'm thinking in my mind, you know, my son is seeing dad work, I'm home with him. You know, a lot of times my wife was going back and forth to work when we had the pandemic, her schedule changed. And so I'm looking at, you know, okay, my son is seeing me do these things. But then as he's getting older and I'm trying to work with him and help teach him about life, I started thinking, your son sees you at home all the time. How is this, not all the time, because of course I was going out and working, but a different schedule than other dads, other men. How is this helping him with his development and understanding what it's going to take to be a man, what it's going to take to support a family, what it's going to take to sacrifice? How is that helping? So me going back to work and, you know, full time, I looked at it as an opportunity for my son to see dad going to get it. And then I'm an early person. So I'm at the office at 7 o'clock usually. So I'm usually up about 4:30, 4:45, no problem. You know, because I'm an early person, it's not a big deal, but I'm out of the house by 6 o'clock, right? And so he's seeing me get up early and go get it and then still come home and have to manage the house, you know, with my wife. And so, guys, this has been interesting. I do feel blessed to have all of this happening right now, especially to have everything take place at the end of the year so I could start 2025 fresh and new. But I know that there might be some guys out there that may be in a similar situation. Maybe you're looking to come off your job and there's just some things that maybe you need to consider before doing it. I really jumped without a parachute, which was honestly, it was extremely reckless. If I had to go back and do it all over again, I'm not saying that I wouldn't have ventured out into entrepreneurship full time, but I would have probably done it a different way. I think doing it the way I did it was a lot of ego was involved with it, to be honest, because I really felt, hey, my work is just good. People are coming to me now. And I really didn't realize it's at that time, once you become full-time and this is what's dependent on, it's a different vibe and it's a different level of stress. And so I'm back full-time. What does that mean for business? I'm still going to run my business. I'm still going back and now restructuring my schedule to do, of course, more things on the weekend, more things during the evenings. One thing that this will have probably a direct impact on are some of my corporate clients. I had started scaling those back anyway over the last probably year and not really going after it as much. A lot of the ones that I do have, I will probably be understanding and I can still work with them, but I'm going to have to make some adjustments on the business front. But what this also means is my pricing structure is definitely changing because my time is way more valuable now, because going back, having a full-time job and then still doing business, I'm going to have to be compensated for that time, because now doing business is really pulling me away from my family because I'm already gone during the week, at a minimum 40 hours, probably a little bit more. So yeah, business is going to look a little bit different, but I'm looking forward to it. But the biggest thing, and I'll leave you guys with this, the biggest thing I'm looking for now is being able to pursue my purpose without having to worry about the financial implications. And I tell you what this means. Right here on this platform, 300 Fathers, where we discuss high performance fatherhood, a lot of time needs to go into this platform. But I was in position sometimes where I was thinking, does this need to generate money? Because I have a family to support. So anytime that I'm doing anything that's not generating money, it was just high stress. Like, I don't know if I can really spend a lot of time on it because I need to be working and finding new business, etc. But now that I have this back in play, I'm really looking forward to creating more content for you guys. I'm really looking forward to helping to really build this thing to help dads. Now, as far as this channel goes, excuse me, on YouTube, that's where one of my biggest thought process has been. If you look on this channel right now, you can see podcast episodes and different things like that. But my ultimate goal is to build a media company based on fatherhood. I don't even know all of what that looks like yet. Of course, we're going to continue on with the podcast, etc. But there's going to be different content on this channel that I feel will help build dads and help touch different areas of our lives that we need to really grow in, from not only just a podcast, but things that are fitness related. How can I tie in my professional background into this? I'm going to be tying in some things with family tech, it may be I don't want this to be like a gear review channel or anything like that, but things that I really believe in preserving memories for your family. So things that I've learned over here, I want to bring over to dads and to moms so we can understand how to create better media for our family. So this is just a few of the things that I want to do here. But the biggest thing is I want to thank you guys for being patient and following me on this journey. I always don't want to be bigger than the platform, meaning I want to be able to be transparent with you guys and let you all know where we are. Like I said, 10 years ago, I created a video, hey, I quit my job. I thought it was only fair to create this video to say, hey, I went back, all right? And it's not a lot of shame in that. I was having feelings and emotions of I failed. But then when I got back and started working, I was able to really understand I'm coming in, I'm 10 years older now than I was before, even though I'm back in IT, but I'm coming in with a different perspective. I believe a more responsible perspective. Being in business really helped me to foster the whole customer service aspect. So now being back in IT, I can bring that in here. And I really believe I can contribute to the work environment that I'm in. And we'll see. I'm going to update you guys and let you know how it's going, but I just wanted to leave you with that. Listen, I hope You all have an amazing 2025. I wanted to get this video out on the first of the year because part of my goal is to be more consistent here. So we're going to launch a new video first day of the year, but have a happy and productive 2025. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.